Okay, so I'm going to put this geolocator BS866 on this Veery OCSG, and I've pre-made the harness, but I've made it adjustable, so when I put it on the bird I can adjust to the size I want, and that way I get a unique fit to that individual bird. I'm using 1mm stretch magic and 2mm crimp beads. You can get them at a craft store, craft section of, like, at Walmart. Looking at that little mark on the, oh, where'd it go? Little thing, I guess it was a little fleck of something attached there. I want to make sure it's in good shape because the bird's got to carry this for a year. I don't want the material to be weak or compromised in any way. Okay, so I've put 3 crimp beads on each side. I made the harness a little bigger than it needs to be. Then I put 3 crimp beads. I crimped the outer one just to hold the beads on. And then those are the crimp beads are what I'll use to adjust to the unique size for this bird. So I'm going to slide it around the leg. On this side, this guy's not really kicking very much. I wonder if that light is bothering him. It's really dark today, so I have this headlamp on to help see. Okay, so you can see that's not far enough up on the leg. It needs to go way higher. All the way up to where the leg meets the body. And it forms a little natural crevice. And that natural crevice is what will hold the stretch magic harness right in place there. Okay, so don't quite have it on that side, but I'm going to roll it over here so I can feel there, and there it is. It's up on there. And now I'm going to pull this side over, pull that leg through. Watch out for the big long toenails, claws, don't want to get stuck on there. And then now while I'm holding it here, I can slide it up over that leg. Good. Okay, so it's on each side. And then I'm going to lift it up. I want it right up over that pelvis, that, right, yep. And as I tighten each side, I want to make sure I've got it centered. The last one I just did was not centered, so even though it was all finished, it wasn't centered on the bird, so I had to cut it off. And then I had had that bird in hand for too long, so I let it go. I just want to, in all of these steps, try to reduce the stress as much as possible on the bird. They're collecting data for us, and I'm going to make sure everything's as safe as possible. Okay, so you can see I've kind of pulled that. I've sort of adjusted it to the size I want, and now this is where the unique adjustability comes in. I'm going to double check and make sure my harness is up on each side where I want it. Yep. And then this is where I want it. So now I'm going to pinch down on this outer bead. So once you pinch down on the beads, there's no going back. You have to start over. But I put 2 on here so I can adjust it, and then before I make the final tightening, I can do any last little tweaks. So there, I pinch that in, pinch that one. I'm going to take a look, see how it feels, how it looks, and I want it to be centered. I'm going to feel right on the pelvis, right there, the sacrum. Make sure that's resting right. Make sure it's not too tight, not too loose. This one's still a little bit too loose, but I have that second crimp bead there, so I'm going to use that to tighten it just a little bit more. Not too tight. Okay. And now giving it the last tightening. So now I'm tightening this one, flattening that bead, and Still can do a little bit of adjustment because you still have it on one side and it's one continuous piece of stretch magic, but for the most part, that's it. And definitely the side to side and the positioning is really important. Because this bird's going to be flying thousands of kilometers with this on, so we want it to be centered as possible. Okay, pinch that bead down, and then by pinching the bead, it makes it too big. It can't slide back through the tube. If it could slide through the tube, then the bird might be able to wiggle it off. See how it gets stuck there like the... Okay, and now all that extra material I'm going to cut off. I'm going to not cut it not right at the crimp bead because I want enough material that it's not going to slide back in. I mean slide out of that crimp bead. And there we go. Whoops. Oops, somehow I didn't sever that all the way. Okay. I'm going to take a look at this one. Oh, that looks perfect. See how it lines up right between the wings there? This bird looks happy. OCSG. I need to make sure I write down which geolocator I just put on it. I should have done that first, but fortunately I only have one in hand, so BS866. So that's the one I'm deploying right now on OCSG. Yep, that's it. Okay. And what we want is that bird to fly off happy. So everything looks great on this bird. Looks good. Very handsome. Good condition. A little bit of a smaller male. That looks good. There's a piece of feather that's cut off. So I'm just taking a look at him, making sure he's happy before I let him go. Little bare patches on the head. Okay. I think he was startled there because his flashlight was right in his face. And there he flew off.